Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Let's talk about how to not be sad and depressed in today's world. So I'm not going to give necessarily practical examples of this as to like how to take care of your health and everything. I'm going to give more of like a bigger picture, how to view life sort of guide here. So I speak a lot about all the problems that we face in the world, right? In the United States, with relationships, addictions to all sorts of vices, poverty, crime, like there's so, the education system. I talk a lot of, on these videos, I talk a lot about the issues that men are dealing with, right? When it comes to just living in the world today, right? The disadvantages in the workforce, right? All of the problems, right, that we talk about here. And most people would get sad, hearing about all the problems, right? But, these issues that I bring to light and I discuss here, there's a reason for it. So, if you're a believer in God, you don't have to believe in God, but, whatever religious denomination you're from, right? There is a pretty... there's good and evil, right? In most religions, right? Most religions have the concept of good and evil, right? So all the things I talk about sound very evil, right? They sound very bad, right? We would label those as bad or evil or not good. But here's the thing, right? If God created reality perfect, if God created reality where everything was just good in your dualistic, finite ego self, right? If everything was just how, like, the way you wanted it to be, right? Then you got to think about it. Why would we even live? Why would we even be alive? If everything was good, right? If everything was, it's like, and I use this analogy a lot, but it's like, if you're playing a video game and it's too easy, right? Or you've mastered, like, you've played a mission over and over again, right? And you've already beat it like 100 times. Why are you going to keep playing it? You want to play something more challenging, or you want to deal with like a more difficult level or mission, right? So in the same way, it's like, we can sit here and complain about women. We can complain about the workforce. We can sit here and cry about men's addictions to pornography and video games and junk food and different vices, right? But at the end of the day, if those things weren't a reality, if those things were just like non-existent and we were just masters of everything, right? Then why would we even be here? Really sit down. Sometimes I contemplate, I think it's like, damn, like, if everything was good, then there would be no point for us to even be here, right? And at the end of the day, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it and sit here and be like, oh, you want it, because there's people that say, oh, you want it to be difficult. And yes, right? But I can say one thing, when you're in the thick and thin of it, when you're in the loneliness, when you're in the clutches of addiction, when you're in the, when you're in the reality of a disadvantaged job situation, right? When you're in the struggle of all of the things that I talk about, it makes life depressing. It makes life feel hopeless. It makes it feel like you feel sad. You feel like, damn, like, what the you really, like, you'll go home and, like, in your solitude, you'll really think to yourself, like, damn, like, what the hell is all this for? Because sometimes it really, the disadvantaged realities, right? Like, all the things you struggle with, your inability to make money, your inability to have a good relationship with a woman, your inability to overcome your addictions, your inability to stick to a diet, or whatever you're struggling with, right? Your inability to progress in your career and your job situation, right? All of those things that you label as bad, all those things that you label as like the things you want to get rid of or the things you want to overcome, right? It's good that you're dealing with it, because if you weren't dealing with it, you wouldn't have to develop the characters and the character and the virtues associated with triumphing over that problem, right? So in some cases, you may have to learn courage. In some cases, you might have to learn patience. You may have to learn persistence. You may have to learn, anything, really, right? Any good character trait. God places these things in our life so that we are able to develop the virtue associated with that problem, right? Associated with that difficulty. So it's easy to be sad in today's world. It's easy to be depressed. It's easy to have a gloom and doom mentality. And here's the thing, a lot of people do have gloom and doom mentalities, right? A lot of people do have those nasty worldviews where they really have like a hellish existence because they just decide to check out and do nothing about the reality of living in everyday life, right? So I think the biggest thing is not so much about understanding, like it's important to understand why we're faced with these problems, but it's like to really go to the next level, you have to just accept it. Like I've gotten better, you know, I'm still not perfect, but I really am working on just accepting like what life is like, and just the reality of where I'm at, right? And another thing I kind of want to piggyback off that is, you're not always, just because life's bad right now, or just because you're struggling with something right now, doesn't mean it's going to be like that in a matter of weeks, right? You know, because we say, oh, we look at progress as in terms of like, oh, next year, 2 years. You may have a little emotional roller coaster, maybe 3-4 days. You feel lonely, you feel tired, you feel like you're in a rut, you feel sad, or you feel just, sometimes you just feel apathetic. Like sometimes, I don't know if you guys can resonate with this, but it's like you were just good like a few days ago. You were motivated, you were inspired to take action, you felt good, right? Everything was, you know, you just felt like you had a zest for life. And then it's weird, like some days, it'll be a following 2 or 3 days, it's like nothing matters. It's not even like you're sad or you're depressed or you're pissed off or you're angry. It's like you just feel a sense of like, I don't even want to say careless, because it's like you care, but it's like you just, it's like almost like empty. You just feel like, it's like whatever. Not even in like a bad way. It's just like it's like a neutral feeling. I really don't know how to describe it. It's something you have to experience, but I think you guys may kind of know what I'm speaking on here. So, and like I said, going back to what I was just saying, so you're never always gonna feel, like, there's gonna be problems, but they're never gonna last forever, right? So your little 3 days or 4 days of feeling like sad or depressed about something, or you feel careless, like I just mentioned, that's gonna pass, right? And then, like I said, yeah, like you just gotta accept the flow of life. Life has a flow to it, right? And here's another thing. Here's like I think the point I'm really trying to get to. Our suffering is to the extent that we feel suffering, right? Because I think suffering has varying degrees. To the extent you feel suffering is to the degree that you're holding on to how you feel, right? Because if you don't really understand that, like, it's just gonna pass, because it's okay to feel those emotions, it's okay to feel negative, it's okay to feel hopeless, sad, careless, whatever, depressed about whatever situation you're thinking about, but you're gonna suffer more if you're holding on to like that feeling, or if you're constantly like, why am I feeling this way? I wish life was different. You know, whatever story your mind wants to create about the fact in the present moment that you're feeling this type of way, it's to the degree that you're gonna suffer. So if you're able to just, you know, be like, all right, it is what it is, whatever, it's okay, you know, in a few days I'll feel better, then you're not gonna suffer as much. I'm not gonna say you're not gonna suffer at all, you're not gonna feel any sort of way, but it's like, how much are we willing to suffer? Do you want to suffer in excruciating pain or just mild pain, right? So there's going to be suffering either way, right? There's no escaping that. We know that for sure, right? But it's like, to what degree do you want to suffer, right? And I think understanding that, like I said, you're going to have those good and bad, that good and bad dualistic reality in life, you know, that's going to be present at all times. And understanding that, you know, you just have to let life flow and let things go as they come, you know. So I know it's so cliche, I talk a lot about these topics and, you know, how I view the world and everything, but I think, you know, sticking to the basics, sticking to the fundamentals, and continuing to obviously, you know, go with the flow of life is how we deal with all the problems, right? Because like I said, our mind is always desiring things. It's always wishing things were different. It's always wanting to correct things, right? So, you know, like I said, don't let your mind fool you into thinking like it's just, you know, life. Basically what I'm trying to say is like, don't let your mind dominate your reality. Don't let your mind just like run the show, right? Because you can easily let it dictate your feelings, your emotions, and it can honestly get you stuck in a state of like deep depression if you let it, right? If you let it. So understand that life moves on. Understand that, you know, the way you feel today is not the way you're gonna feel in 3 days, right? And just continue to go, right? Continue to push through. You know, it's so cliche, but hey, we can't escape life. You know what I mean? You can't escape the every moment in your day-to-day life. So you're just gonna have to wear the pain, wear the difficulty, and continue to move on. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. As always, I will talk with you guys soon. Peace.